Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Mitch Taco Bell. I am a retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel. It's my pleasure having you with us with Tall Tales of Taco on Tuesday. I got to tell you, first of all, happy birthday, Marines. Wherever you guys are celebrating the Marine Corps birthday, I want you to know we're here with you. We're here with you in spirit if you're deployed. We're going to have a little beverage later. I know you'll have probably a near beer and some cake wherever you are in the world. But today is really exciting. I've got the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General David Berger, who is the 38th Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. And I also have a good friend of mine, retired Marine Colonel Bob Modrzejewski. And Bob is on the line, and he's out in San Diego, California. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on the Commandant of the Marine Corps. I will be standing at attention here. General Berger, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Taco. How are you?
Sir, I can't even believe that I have the opportunity and the chance for you to come visit with us and all the Marines that are out there in internet land watching this right now going, how the hell did Taco get the Commandant of the Marine Corps on his show? So my question to you, sir, first of all, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Marine.
I try not to keep you too long, boss. I just wanted to ask you one question. What is the most memorable experience you ever had with your Marines? And I'm not talking like the big ball, anything. Right. I'm talking about the special times when you were deployed with your Marines somewhere in the world. Tell us about that.
Probably the first one. I'll just hit, if it's okay, talk, Mitch, a couple of them. First one.
Yes, sir.
Really amazing was the fact that you finished OCS and the basic school. Whatever the first ball was after that, the first birthday after that, that was pretty special for me because the odds were pretty long.
All right, so if everybody doesn't know, you want to blame me being in the Marine Corps, you're looking at the officer selection officer from Roanoke, Virginia in 1986, who signed me up, gave me an air contract in February of 86, and then in May of 86, after Top Gun came out, said, you know what, Bell, let me tell you something. You're the luckiest son of a beep there is, because had you tried to join now after that stupid movie came out, I'm turning away 3.8 double E engineering majors from Virginia Tech. You'd be a knuckle-dragging motor T officer in the Marine Corps right now, you lucky son.
Okay. That part aside, which is pretty actually amazing that you actually finished officer candidate school in the basic school. But beyond that, I would guess I'm probably not much different than most Marines. It is the ones when you were deployed. One time in Korea in November, I was with 3-7. It was in the mountains in kind of the middle northern part of South Korea, and it was a lot of snow on the ground. And I don't remember too much about it other than it was really, really cold. And the chaplain, who turned out to be just like a lot of them, just phenomenal chaplain. We were in like 10-man snow tent, and he crawled around through our kind of, you lay out a path of where all the tents connect when you're in deep snow, and he just crawled from tent to tent to tent to tent, made everybody sing the birthday, the Marine Corps hymn, and anchors away. And then I don't know where he got it from, but he was dragging around some little piece of crap that looked like cake. But it was pretty amazing in that to watch nobody told him to do this, but go through the whole, I was an 81's platoon commander, just must have gone through 7 or 8 tents, one after another. Everybody had to sing both songs, and everybody got this piece of like MRE cake, and then he leave me, and then he crawled to another tent. And I thought afterwards, wow, that's pretty motivating. Come to find out later on, he's got a very phenomenal past as a prior enlisted SEAL. So he knew exactly what he was doing. I think after that, I would say Desert Shield, Desert Storm, because we weren't sure what was going to happen, but you kind of knew something was by the end of November. So that was sort of special. Everybody is out in the middle of the desert, and there's no buildings or anything around, and it was a more serious one. But
were you a colonel then, or lieutenant colonel, sir?
I was a captain in second reconnaissance battalion, and I know Bob has a reconnaissance background too. So those units are very, very, very close, like squadrons are. And that one, I would say that one pretty special too. Maybe the only other one that probably sticks with me is in Afghanistan, and there a bunch of retired commandants showed up, and they just traveled around to see all the Marines and visit with them, and that was pretty special too. They're all the ones that aren't planned, you don't get all dressed up in in your evening dress and ball gowns and stuff. Just you remember what it is about this day. It's not about spending a couple $100 on a hotel room and going out on the town. No, that's not what it's about. It's about General Legern's message. It's about cutting the cake and handing from oldest to junior Marine. That's the center part of of today, really special.
Yes, sir. Well, we're going out to a place called Tap In Grapevine, Texas, where all the local Marines get together for a little celebration every year. It's going to be a great time. And we'll hold a spot for you if you ever make it back down to Fort Worth, sir.
It is a special day. I think Sergeant Major, we were out in San Diego last week, and Sergeant Major Black, who's the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, I was standing next to him, and he was talking to some recruiters and some drill instructors. And he reminded them, he says, next week is our birthday. And he goes, just a reminder, and you all have heard this before, but it's always worth hearing, especially from the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. He goes, if you're in high school, you go down to the recruiting station, you might join the Army or join the Navy or join the Air Force. But in the Marine Corps, this is what sets us apart. If the Marine Corps thinks that you might be good enough, then you can earn the title of Marine, and that's that way for life. No other services like that. You become a Marine, not join the Marines. You become a Marine forever.
Yes, sir.
You just remind them, that's what we're not the same as everybody else. It's different.
Yes, sir. Outstanding. Well, I know I've taken up way too much of your time. You've got a million other things. I do have one other question. I heard we're getting rid of the tanks, and I'm into armor. So I'm wondering, can I pick one up from Dormo? Can you tag one for Taco Bell?
Yeah, well, we have a big discount for the Army, not for you, but for the Army, it was a huge discount. So all of our tanks went to the Army. But I'll see if there's some broke down, gutted, no engine, one track. I'll see what we can find maybe in the back lot. See if you're not going to have enough money for it, but I'll see if there's one back there for you.
Hey, I'm a rich airline pilot. You never know, sir. I mean, you started me on that path. Now, you get another tank. Who knows? Anyway, General, can't thank you enough. Happy birthday, sir.
Could I say one thing to General Berger?
Yes, sir.
Please, sir. Yes, Colonel.
General, your recruiters here in San Diego in the Toys for Tots program, they've really gotten some good ink, some good television time over the last couple of days or so about the fantastic job that they've done with collecting money and collecting toys and what they're doing with that particular program. So I just want you to know that they're doing their job and what they should be doing, and they're certainly getting a lot of kudos for it. And so I think you ought to be very proud of what they've done and how they're doing it.
Every year, I agree. I am amazed at how much they give. They work hard, and then they give back to the local communities that are all on their own time. They don't get paid. There's no extra payment or anything. It's incredible. It's the way Marines are, right?
Absolutely.
That's a great program. We support that here wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Well, General, you have a great night, and give Household 6 a shout from me, and tell her I said hello, would you, sir?
Thanks, Taco. Thanks, Colonel.
Okay.
Happy
We'll
birthday.
see you next year, sir. Take care,
Thank you,
boss.
sir. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, sir.
Oh,
gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So I want to thank General Berger for taking the time out today to spend a little time with us. Happy birthday to all the Marines out there. This is incredible. Now, I want to talk to Bob a little bit about his time in the in the Marines and how he joined the Marines back in the late 50s, I believe, right? So you graduated in 57?
Graduated in 57, and I was actually started college in 1954 and 1953, I should say. And I was at the University of Wisconsin, and I was actually in a couple of degree programs. My first one being in education, elementary education, and my second adventure was chasing women. That was my second degree. And if you talk to most of my friends and ask them, they'll probably tell you that I wasn't very successful in either one of them, with one exception, and that was marrying my wife. But yeah, when I got to the point in college, first of all, I was an ROTC, which was mandatory, and
was it Army or Navy or?
It was an Army program, which I detested very much. I didn't want to run around in a uniform. I didn't want to go learn map reading in a classroom or first aid or about venereal disease or anything else. So, but after I got a couple of years and started my student teaching, I was assigned to an elementary school right outside the University of Wisconsin campus. And I think I had a third grade, I can't really remember, third grade, fourth grade. And well, after a couple of weeks of just passing out papers and sharpening pencils, why the instructor or teacher asked me to teach a class on sound and vibration. Mm-hmm. And this is where I made my first big mistake. I had the kids take out their 12-inch ruler, put it on their desk, put half of it over the side and hold the other half down with their hand. Right. Well, you can imagine what chaos started when I told them to go ahead and bend that portion of it that was hanging over the desk, right, and see how it vibrates back and forth. Well, the result was a lot of cracked rulers, a lot of sword fights, and complete loss of control of the class. So I went back to collecting paper, sharpening pencils, and going for supplies. But then about, I guess 2 or 3 weeks later, the teacher asked me to teach a music class, a simple Christmas song, I think it was.
Right.
So, I started out, I think, singing Jingle Bells, and my voice cracked, and, the kids started laughing, and I told myself, I don't think this elementary school teaching is for me. So subsequent to that, I saw a Marine recruiter walking around the campus, and happened to go down and talk to him just to see what the Marine Corps was all about, without any intention of ever joining. Right. But he kind of convinced me after he thought I had a minimum amount of intelligence and leadership ability. So I signed up, and
you did the PLC program like I did, right?
I was in the PLC program, but I didn't think that 9 years later I was going to be laying in a ditch a couple hundred yards from North Vietnam. But that's just the way it goes.
All right, so let's fast forward over to Vietnam, 1966, right, sir?
Yeah, 1966. Which I was a captain at the time. I was a company commander, 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. And of course, that November, we had a small get together as far as the birthday ball. But we were at Dong Ha, which was in the I Corps area of South Vietnam, right up near the demilitarized zone. And so, it's the ingenuity of the people that were setting up a mini birthday celebration, with
and were you back on base? Was it, kind of like a little safe, or were you heading out to the field?
Well, it wasn't 100% safe because, there's no front lines in Vietnam. They were all, everybody was 360 degrees, the enemy, and we were, and so on. Mm-hmm. But we managed to pull off a small birthday celebration. I I think we had it in what's called a general purpose tent.
Mhm.
And then Colonel Bill Masterpool was my battalion commander at the time, and really kind of a World War II Mustang guy.
Oh, wow.
But he managed, wherever he managed from, to get, a cake baked, and he had, I think, had some wine or so forth, and so we did a celebration. But yeah, it was probably the highlight of all the various celebrations. The small, intimate ones always seem to be
The best.
done very well and the best, because everybody's in the same boat. You're close to one another. You're with Marines, and it's just a happy time. Which unfortunately now we're not able to do that as much in a big grandiose style like we're accustomed to. But you and I are doing it, and General Berger's doing it, so that's as good as it gets for us.
And you know what? I've got a beer here to celebrate with you. And
okay, I've got a glass of wine right here to celebrate, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday. You know what? I'm going to crack this here. Get a little IPA, and this is in memory of my buddy Chris Bettis. He passed away from cancer about a year ago, and was just a total force of reckoning. I mean, Chris got out of the Marine Corps, got all of his ratings, wanted to become an airline pilot, and joined PSA. And anyway, he was almost coming over to American in December, but the cancer came back and it ended up taking his life.
Oh, it's a shame,
Yes, sir. But before he died in November, as a matter of fact, it was right around now, we flew up there and we gave a giant plaque we had made up for him, and we made him an honorary captain at American Airlines.
Oh,
so
great.
Before he passed, he got made honorary captain.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, speaking of cancer, in fact, I just got a text yesterday from one of the Medal of Honor guys, Army guy, that just found out he has pancreatic cancer, which is terrible diagnosis with that. And but really a good guy, Army guy, got severely wounded in Vietnam. So you just hate to have to hear that.
So I'll take a second, say a prayer, and
So yeah,
pass off some good vibes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, circle back when you were in Vietnam. Then in that November, was that when your operation took place?
No, the operation where I received the Medal of Honor was in July of 1966.
July of '66. Okay.
Yeah, generally at the beginning of the Vietnam War, so it was kind of fresh and new, but we went on a operation against North Vietnam. I think the action that I was involved with, along with my company of Marines and Navy corpsmen, was in about 4 days, and we much superior force than the number of Marines that I had. So, but you have to give these young guys, these Marines and these Navy corpsmen credit, which they don't really get all the time, because the corpsmen are saving lives left and right, exposing themselves, and the Marines, these 18 and 19-year-old kids are out there on a listening post in the middle of the night, pitch dark. They're scared, and they stay out there until they're told to come back. So, thank God, you got to give them credit.
So that night that you received, or that day when you guys were out, I remember reading your citation. You're going from foxhole to foxhole. You're calling in artillery and fire right on top of you.
Yeah, almost on top of us. Yeah, in fact, I think some of the guys took some friendly fire with fragments of grenades and shrapnel, but I'll tell you, we had some terrific pilots. Flying F4s were my pilots. that were doing the close air support. And boy, they were just right on. Let me tell you, if it hadn't been for the artillery and the air support, the communists could have taken us anytime they wanted.
Wow.
So that.
You were a company up against a battalion?
Well, we started out as against kind of a platoon, and then it gradually grew to a company, and then it grew to a battalion, and then on the final day, it was about 100 of us against a regiment, which was, I think the regiments in Vietnam were about half the size as a Marine regiment, maybe 1,500, 200, 2,000, NVA. So, but it was close.
So did Chesty Puller ever come to mind when they talk about we're surrounded?
No,
That
I
makes
wasn't.
it easy.
I
That means we
wasn't
can attack in any direction.
I wasn't thinking about Chesty Puller. I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's amazing what you think about in situations like that. It's
What was going through your mind?
you don't have time to think about anything except the task at hand. Yeah, it's interesting, but again, thank God for these troops. I mean, when you're 18, 19 years old and perform like they do, and their leaders, some of their leaders are getting killed. And, they just pick up the slack, and these are privates and PFCs.
Sure.
And, as I said, with the Navy corpsmen, these guys are out there patching people up. And so, we took a lot of casualties.
Were you able to medevac them out with helicopter support, or how did you get the folks out of there?
No. Well, when it was time to leave the objective area that we were at, we were then assigned to as a rear guard for the battalion. And here's the interesting thing, that when we went back to the landing zone where we initially landed 4 days earlier, the battalion already had left. So here I was, in this area here with helicopters that had crashed and burned. And my battalion was gone. So it was us, about probably 50, 60 against this regiment, that was coming out of the hills and yelling and screaming and firing weapons. And but
that was you on the radio calling in everything, right?
Calling in radio, and talking to the troops and running out of ammunition. I got all these wounded guys, and so very, very chaotic. But the funny thing is that after about 4 hours, everything got quiet. I mean, the NVA went back into the hills, or those that were left went back into the hills, and then it was kind of an eerie feeling because it was just us and all the dead NVA guys. So, it's very memorable.
How long did that battle last for you, sir?
Well, on the final day against the regiment, about 4 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah, 4 hours. And fortunately, it was daylight, where the other 3 times that we were engaged with various units was always at night.
Right.
In fact, we had a helicopter, not helicopter, but C-130 gunships dropping flares all night long. I mean, it was just like daytime, 24 hours a day, which, certainly helped us because, it's pitch black and dark and can't see your hand in front of your face.
So if somebody were to compare your battle to something they've seen in a movie, have you ever seen We Were Soldiers Once and Young?
You're talking about that Army movie?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah.
Would that be comparable to what you went through in terms of the attacks, the brutal frontal attacks those guys launched?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's it was an interesting time. When you come right down to it, my job was probably the easiest of everybody because, I can direct, I can do this, I can do that, but
Yeah, but you got do you have a radio on your back, or do you have a guy running beside you?
I have a radio operator.
You had a radio operator or radio on your back?
I had a radio operator.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, but even running with that hand mic, you've got a big bullseye on each of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as I said, they could have really taken us any time that they wanted to, but thank God they didn't.
Wow. And did you got wounded during that operation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got some grenade fragments in my leg, and nothing where I had to leave the battlefield.
Right.
There wasn't anything overly serious where I was on a deathbed. None of that. No, but it doesn't really matter because even a small pinprick from a grenade hurts like hell. It hurts like hell. It really does. So you can imagine what some of these guys who get severely wounded. What they have to go through.
And after the battle, how long after did you get an idea that your men had put you in for the medal?
A year and a half later.
A year and a half. So you'd already completed your tour, gone back?
Completed my tour, gone back. I went to the Naval Academy as the commanding officer of the Marine Barracks. And so I was there until one day the captain who ran the naval station called me and told me that I was going. Before that I got a call from somebody at headquarters Marine Corps that had mentioned that to me. But it normally takes about a year and a half or 2 years. And
wow.
For some of these guys, if your paperwork is lost, it might take some guys from World War II waiting 50 years or so to get get recognized. Yeah.
So what was it like going to the White House for the presentation?
Kind of foggy. It was all kind of murky. You really don't know why you're there to begin with, and you got these people out there, all these politicians and all these generals. And then we had Lyndon Johnson, a guy 6'4", and I'm 5'8", and I'm looking up it's still kind of foggy. And my mother was there, my wife was there, some other members of the family. So it was very, very nice. Do
they do like they do now? I see Barney and other Medal of Honor recipients there. President Trump had given out, or even Obama had seen other members.
No. In fact, you don't have any conversation with the president. He'll say a few words to you, right. And then you can just kind of answer in short sentences. But you're not going to have anything afterward where president takes you in the Oval Office and says have a beer and that kind of stuff. None of that. Or you don't go over to the Pentagon and talk to the people assembled in the Pentagon like they do today. So there was no interaction with, other than the fact that. After the ceremony, then we went to lunch in the congressional dining room, and then with some senators and so on. And in fact,
how was your life post Medal of Honor? Because you finished out a career, you didn't get out.
No, I stayed in the military, and then, as I said, I went to Annapolis after Vietnam, and then. Went to Hawaii. I went to the Marine Corps Recruit Depot. I went to headquarters Marine Corps for a tour. Went to school at the National War College. So I was in for 30 years.
So I mean, when you were, I know like some of the other folks when they're on active duty, they have a PAO or somebody kind of handling them to go to different things. Did you have anything like that? Get invited to different things you had to get approved through the Marine Corps?
Yeah, well, so, yes, you had that, but you didn't have any agent, or that. You were strictly on your own. And really, headquarters Marine Corps would ask you to go, you were invited to make a speech, so they wanted to know if you wanted to go. So it was kind of your own choosing whether or not you wanted to go and give speeches, and I went to a lot of them, but you know, they were all paid for from headquarters Marine Corps normally,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's amazing how your life turns over immediately, you know, after the White House ceremony. You know,
Right.
people who think you were probably the dumbest guy that ever walked, you are now the expert on everything. You know how that works. You know, so some people said, "Oh, you know, this guy really knows what he's talking about because he's, you know, at one time in one place and in a short period of time he did this or did that." And you know, but that's okay. That's just the way nature is, I think, and life is, and so.
Well, it cracks me up because, like, talking to Barney Barnum, it just being in Vietnam, I think 5 days, and he goes out on his operation, and everybody gets killed, and then it's just him.
Yeah,
You know, making the radio calls and trying to get help, and everyone else is gone, and he radios back, and the boss is like, "You're it, Barney. It's your show." You know.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of those goofy stuff takes place. You know, for example, when I was in Vietnam, when I first got there, I was the assistant S4 officer of the battalion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm an assistant. I'm in Vietnam for the first time. So after about a week or so, no, I guess maybe 3 weeks.
You become the guy.
The company commander of K Company is due to rotate, so they come and get me, and I'm the new company commander, you know, and I'm taking over a unit in the middle of the night, and don't know a soul, you know. I only had 3 officers. I got two platoon commanders that are staff sergeants,
Right.
and you know, here I am trying to meet the company, and they're in a perimeter someplace, you know. So, you know, but you never think about those things, you know. But again, that's okay too. No problem.
What are some of the folks? I know they had the Medal of Honor Society back then. Who were your favorite World War II guys that you got to hang out with? Because, I mean, they were all still around back then.
Well, for example,
did you become close with any of them?
Well, some the first Medal of Honor president was General David Berger, who was a Marine guy. Yeah, Berger, and he was my division commander when I first went to Okinawa in 1958, and he was a commandant and a good card player, and I used to play cards on the weekend in the officers club at Kadena Air Force Base, and always made a lot of money. I don't know why, but he seemed to. And then we had General Wilson, who was in the society at the time. Colonel Ray Davis from Korea was in, and then. But you meet a lot of good people too, you know, just by virtue of the fact that you get invited to all these things, politicians, movie actors, you know, sports figures. So you know, that you never would have met if it hadn't been for that. So yeah, it's a very interesting life.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, all the stuff that you and your wife have been able to see and do through that. And
yeah, well, you know, even you guys from American Airlines and what you do, you know, who would have, you know, if I look back and told my parents that, yeah, American Airlines flies us around to these various functions and so on, she said, what? You know, so, you know, thank God for you guys and what you do for the military, not just for the society, but what you do for military people.
You know, it's crazy. I mean, American does not publicize, I think, enough the stuff that we would do between salute to the troops, taking all the wounded from Walter Reed or from BAMC down in Texas out to Vegas to go have a relaxing 3 or 4 days out there, or you know what Randy does with Snowball Express and any of the troops that pass and things that happen as we're doing movements and whatnot. I mean, American Airlines, Skyball was really big. When Jim Palmersheim and all those guys were working Skyball back in the day, I think in 06 was the first time I was involved with Skyball in 2006. And all through the years, I just loved it more and more and more. But the greatest piece of that was working with you all and getting young Marines and soldiers, sailors hooked up as your escorts to be able to take care of you for, kind of turned into like 5 days sometimes. But really loved having you guys out there because the chance of meeting the Medal of Honor recipient, you probably have a greater chance of winning the lotto if meeting a living recipient. But having 25 or 32 living recipients together in one place, you better go buy a couple lotto tickets and get ready because you may win. I mean, that's a tall order. Kind of like having a Commandant on your show, you know what?
Well, and the state of Texas, for example, we go every year to Gainesville, Texas.
Gainesville, most patriotic city in the world.
That's exactly right. They fancy themselves as the most patriotic city. So, we love going down to Dallas for Skyball, for Gainesville, and when it comes to Dallas and going to Texas, I'm all, ready to go anytime.
Yes, sir.
I presume you guys didn't have Skyball this year.
No, COVID's basically canceled Skyball for this year. I'm not sure what we're going to do afterwards, how they're going to run it, what event it's going to turn into. It's been going on for so many years. We'll just have to see what happens. But now that we have the Marine or the Medal of Honor Museum being built over in Arlington, Texas. As a matter of fact, I just saw a draft of the work order for the start of the project in 2021. Then you guys have another reason to actually come back down to Dallas, or come over to Dallas, I should say.
Yeah, I hated to miss the convention that we got going on here in starting the 17th. So, we're disappointed that not that we could have gone. We could have gone, but
Right.
My wife and I are kind of the high risk group, so we want to make sure we don't give somebody something that they really don't want or need.
Yeah, I don't want you getting hurt at all. No, not at all. As a matter of fact, when they do open up things out in San Diego, Glenn Williams, who's one of my good friends, worked transportation with us, and he's American Airlines over at DFW now. His dad is a docent over on the Midway.
Oh, sure.
So Mr. Williams has been asking me to come out, spend the night, go get a private tour of the ship. I want to go out there really bad. So when I do, if you're available, I'd like to grab you and we'll go out to the ship and visit Glenn's dad.
Oh, I tell you what, I probably have seen him because we've gone aboard the Midway many, many times for functions. For example, the Midway celebration that they used to have every year.
Yeah.
So we used to attend that, and then they used to have, I think they had Patriots Day for many years aboard the ship, and
they have Top Gun Day. You can't forget that either.
Yeah, Top Gun days, and that's movies coming out here. I think next year, isn't it?
July. As a matter of fact, next week I'm going to have Commander Pete Pettigrew, who was the technical advisor on Top Gun, and if I'm lucky, I'm going to have Val Kilmer. It's not solid yet, but I'm working
on your podcast.
On my podcast, yes, sir.
Oh yeah, well
get Iceman, and the actual Viper. They took his call sign, but anyway, Pete Pettigrew, Glenn Williams' dad, knows him as a docent as well. So I've got the Admiral lined up for the 17th.
Oh, that'll be neat.
Yeah. So when I come out there, I'll grab you. We'll go out to the ship.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love going out there. It's really, I'll tell you, it's probably the one of the biggest attractions that San Diego's ever had.
Yes, sir.
And really, probably one of the biggest around the country, I would think.
Right. Well, it's been 30 minutes. Do you guys have any plans for tonight?
No,
Or you all just
no,
staying
we're
home?
going to, yeah, my, Diane's not feeling too hot, so, she's, but normally we wouldn't go anywhere anyway. We're just going to stay close to the flagpole.
Well, definitely give Diane a hug for me, would you, sir?
I will, and I really enjoyed the podcast. I learned how to use another part of this machine.
Well, I tell you what, maybe I can get down the road. I can get Barney Barnum, you, some of the other Marines on. We'll have a whole bunch of Marine Medal of Honor recipients. Then I'll do one for the Army. I'll have the Army, and then maybe we can get a couple of Navy guys on there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, anytime for me.
Well, sir, hey, I really appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us. Is there anything you want to say to all the Marines out there in the interweb?
I certainly do. I want to say happy birthday to all the Marines serving everywhere throughout the world, and God bless you and thank you for what you do.
Excellent. I do have comments up, so I'm going to throw this out here right now. If anybody wants to ask a question, go ahead and ask your question while I have the good colonel on the phone, and I will ask him because he can't see the questions. I have scrolled comments from Facebook, and so people make comments and whatnot. And so if I get a question, then I'll pass it on to you. Let's see, anybody have a question for Bob? Going once, going twice. I know Stefan wants to ask something bad. Stefan, Paula, Donna, Glenn. No, I guess nobody has a question. They're afraid to ask you. Hey, but you know what? The general did mention something. You did spend time with Recon, correct?
I did. I was in the 2nd Force Reconnaissance Company at Camp Lejeune back from 60 to 62.
Was that when it first started then?
When what first started?
Recon. I mean, weren't you guys called, were they Pathfinders or something?
Well, Pathfinders was a group within the 2nd Force Reconnaissance Company. There were the Recon guys, and then there were the Pathfinder guys. So, but we were all within 2nd Force Recon Company.
Oh, okay. So that was, but when did the Recon unit actually become, I know we had Carlson's Raiders, but when did the Marine Corps officially make the Recon division, Recon Marines?
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know exactly what.
I'm gonna research that because I know we had the Raiders and then it went Recon. I just always think of the cartoon. There's a great cartoon where you see a Marine sitting in a foxhole and it's raining. He goes, "This sucks." Then you see a Recon Marine. It's raining harder, and he goes, "God, I love how much it sucks out here." And then you see a Force Recon, and the snake's about to bite him. He's up to his neck in water, and he goes, "God, I wish it would suck out here more." And then you see the pilot flying overhead looking down. He goes, "God, I bet it really sucks down there."
Yeah, well, the Marine Corps has the Raiders. So again, that's a term that's currently in use in the Marine Corps.
Yes, sir.
That's the special operations guys, I think, use that term. But yeah, I like that term. That's neat. Yeah.
I do too. I do have a question for you. What was the best Marine Corps birthday for you on active duty? Asked by one of our Marines, Robert Morris.
It was probably when I was at the Naval Academy, and I had about 60 Marines that were attached to the Marine Barracks, which
Right.
was an organization that supported the Naval Academy and all the officers who taught at the academy. But we had a birthday ball down at the Chiefs Club, which was a kind of a small venue, and I invited a number of friends to come over and join us for the birthday ball. And it was an officer and enlisted ball. And it was very, very intimate and very friendly. And it was just one big happy occasion. And we had my captain from the naval station, was over, and so we had a great time, and it was just a lot of fun. We had a good meal, and
Good memories.
did what?
There was good memories then.
Good memories, and for some reason or other, when you have a birthday ball that is small but includes officers and enlisted, the things work, very, very well. I've been to some balls that have been gigantic where it's just the officers and, it's kind of stuffy.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yes, sir.
everybody's on their, proper toes and that kind of stuff. So sometimes this is a welcome relief from doing that.
Sure. Yeah. I've got another question for you. It says, can you remember a young Marine who gave you good advice as a young officer? So maybe a staff NCO that gave you some good advice.
Yes. Well, first of all, I've had more than one give me a lot of advice. In fact, you don't know very much when you're a brand new second lieutenant. And if you get assigned out to a Fleet Marine Force unit, which I was when I went to Okinawa right out of basic school, I had a number of Marines, point me in the right direction as to how to do this and how to do that. And if you get into some circumstances, maybe you might have a little bit of an argument with a senior NCO who might be older than you on how to deal with that. And in fact, not necessarily a young Marine, but I had a sergeant major who must have had 26, 27 years when I was a brand new second lieutenant, and he was like a father to me, believe it or not, and a lot of good advice. And I think he was kind of a World War II guy, and you're kind of dumb if you don't listen to the advice that you get from the men that are under your command.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the first time I was really a officer, I mean, it was in the squadron, but you're working with the smartest guys. I mean, in the C-130 fleet, you would have a loadmaster sitting there reading Lee's lieutenants, or somebody getting their PhD, a navigator. Yeah. You were just blown away and amazed by the caliber of folks you worked with. Yeah. And the first time that I got to be a true officer, I was at MWSS 274 in Cherry Point, and I was the Air Ops OIC. So I had this big warehouse, and I had this warrant officer, Gene, this guy took awesome care of me. And that was the first time I got to be an officer. 70 Marines. So, every morning I'd line them up. We'd have inspection. I had a couple Marines that I grabbed. I'd have them cut articles out of USA Today that I brought in. They'd post it over the urinal. So then, at the next day I would ask questions or, things like that. I mean, that was for me as an officer. That was the first time that I really got to be a Marine officer, that it really meant something to me. Yeah.
And, it seems like the transition period from going from second lieutenant to first lieutenant is a dividing line. Once you become a first lieutenant and you get rid of those gold bars, that kind of says, well, I finally arrived, I think.
And it's not until you're a captain. Captain was the best rank I loved in the Marine Corps.
Captain is the very best rank ever, I think.
Captain was an awesome rank. Major was okay. Lieutenant colonel, you're kind of stuck in that twilight between, yes, sir. You've got guys that are senior to you that are colonels, and you're just like, I could definitely probably do this differently or not or whatever. But I like captain was the best.
Yeah, but I'd say lieutenant colonel is the second best rank.
Yeah,
because you're still close to the troops, reasonably so. But once you go from lieutenant colonel, to colonel, and the separation has a big gap in it. But captain is the ultimate, I think.
I got Dan Coombs was General Livingston's aide, and you came to the Marine Corps birthday ball in New Orleans in '95. And he was the Livingston's aide. He said, what was the biggest memory from the ball in New Orleans, where the Marine Forces reserves hosted 20 plus Medal of Honor recipients? Do you remember? I know you attend a lot of stuff, but
I
was that something
remember it like it was yesterday. That was one of the great balls also that Jim Livingston put together. I mean, he had a display of almost like a mini battle going on with pyrotechnics and miniature airplanes on a string. Like if you were at Quantico, if you were in the education center, when General Krulak
Right.
was there, he put on this display of bombing and close air support, a kind of a sand model thing. And Jim Livingston essentially did the same thing, only he was even much better than the one that was put on at the education center at Quantico. Yeah, it was just
Right.
amazing. Very, very well done. But yeah, I remember.
The ball was always, you got your pomp and circumstance and whatnot. The uniform parade, that was always the worst part as a young officer, because you get tagged to go stand there in the uniforms, different Marine uniforms or the Colonial Marine uniform or whatever. It wasn't until 2006 I came back from Iraq, and the MAG CO asked if I would be the MC for the ball. So here's 3,000 Marines at the ball with their dates, and I have to read from the script. And we had a thing called the Living Memorial. Have you ever seen such a deal?
No, not that I'm aware of.
We started out as we read through the history of the Marine Corps. We took all the statues. So the Battle of Iwo Jima, the stage lights would come on, and the Marines come up with the flag, and they are posed just like Iwo Jima statue. And then we move into Korea. We talk about Korea. And then these Marines silently glide through the audience, and they've got the ponchos and the helmets and the radios and the machine guns. And they come through and they come up on stage, and we have snow machines blowing snow down. And then the Marines freeze in the same positions as the Korean Memorial. And then they have Vietnam, and they talk about Vietnam. They're playing, some great music, 70s music. And then these three guys come through the audience, and they're just having a good time, BSing with each other. They get up on stage, they freeze, and they're in the exact position of the Vietnam Memorial. And then we did a tribute to the guys that were over in Iraq, based off a famous photo that one of our Marines had taken. So it was if you ever get a chance and you see that they have a living memorial, highly recommend you go see that. You'll love it. As a matter of fact, General Dunford was a guest of honor, ACMAC, for the Dallas Military Ball, and I was the chairman of the ball. And so you imagine a little bit of pressure on me having ACMAC there. And I did a run through of the sound and the lights and the snow machine. And I realized, oh my God, the snow machine was directly over the ACMAC's table that was pumping out all this fake snow. So I could see all the soap landing on his uniform. I'm like, oh God, no. So the guys having to get on the computer and turn that one particular snow machine off. So when we did it, it snowed on everybody else except the ACMAC's table. I was like, I'd get fried if ACMAC left. General Dunford had nothing but soap marks on his dress blues. Yeah, that wouldn't go over.
He was one of the all-time great guys, General Dunford. He was really,
yes,
really a super, super nice guy, and his wife and so is also.
His wife is beyond words. She was so kind to my wife. My wife came out. They were going somewhere, and she got in the car, and Ellen said, "Oh, come on with me." And so my wife gets in the car with her, and all the other wives got in other cars, and they drove off. And my wife said, "Yeah, I had a great time with the general's wife." And I'm like, "You rode with her?" "Yeah." "Oh my gosh." I think she was supposed to have her own limo service, take her to wherever, but she was so sweet. And then we took all these young Marines on a tour of DC, and we had like maybe 40 or 50 young Marines from the unit, Tarrant County Young Marine Unit. And we went to 8th and I, and there's General Dunford, there's his wife. And I went up and I'm like, and she came over and took photographs with all the Marines. It was a great time. She is a very special person to us.
Yeah. They're good folks. I wonder what he's doing now.
I haven't heard.
I wonder if he stayed in the Washington area or went back to where his hometown is. So, yeah. Hey, you lose track.
Well, let's see.
Go ahead.
I have one. How do you deal with someone who outranks you, who you think is an idiot to both of you? Well, I think that question kind of just stands for itself. Read How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah,
just deal with people.
I think so.
The best you can.
You have people with different abilities and different outlooks, and if, as long as you respect another person, we're all human beings, and the thing that I kind of remember, and the thing that I'd like to make sure that I always did was to treat people fairly. You may not like someone, but as long as you treat them fairly and don't
Yes.
put one person above another person that might be involved with the same thing, which I think is very, very important.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, I tell you what, I've had you on the hook for almost an hour. Would you do me a favor and give your wife a hug for me?
I'm sorry?
You give your wife a hug for me and
I
tell
will.
her thanks for
Absolutely.
for an hour.
I will. She's been bopping in here every once in a while or so. So, yeah, she's a little under the weather, but yeah, she's doing okay. But
Well, give her a hug for me and tell her thank you so much for letting us borrow you for this hour. And happy birthday, sir. I will see you in San Diego. I'll see you in San Diego soon.
Okay, well, same to you, and also give your wife a hug. And if you got any girlfriends, give them a hug too. So
two daughters keep me busy, and my wife definitely.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Taco.
You bet, sir. You have a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Well, folks, really appreciate you guys hanging out with Tall Tales with Taco on Tuesday. Do me a favor, go over to the page and like the Facebook page. I've even got it on YouTube, but it's not something I'm really pushing out. This is just a hobby. It's fun. I'm going to get away from posting on my personal page and move it over to the Tall Tales with Taco Facebook page. So if you liked what you saw, I know it was long. Maybe you can listen to it when you're in the car driving. Go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and sign up for the reminders. Next week, I'm looking at Admiral Pete Pettigrew, who was the first Top Gun. He was in Top Gun as a beginning of Top Gun, the original No Kidding Top Gun. And then he was one of the technical advisors for the movie. So I really hope you can join us then. You guys relax, have a great time. Remember, wherever you go, there you are. Happy birthday, Marines. Have a beer. We will see you. If you're local DFW Marines, we'll see you at the Tap In. People are forming up there now at 1700. I'll probably get over there about 1830. If Tommy D's on the line, I hope you guys have a good one. Dan's great hearing you. Sean, Jody, Robert, Brian Perry, Paula, you guys have a great one. And thanks for coming and hanging out. Tall Tales with Taco. Hoorah.